Many years ago, a wise old man said,
You can't be a true petrol head until you've owned an Alfa Romeo.
and I tend to agree. But then he went on to say,
There's no Alfa Romeo a true petrol head would actually want to buy.
and that's where I disagree, because I have bought this. Jeremy Clarkson's ex-Top Gear Alfa Romeo 75, 3-litre V6 Veloce, as featured in Series 11, Episode 3, as part of their £1,000 Alfa Romeo Challenge. It was first put through its paces around Rockingham Race Circuit, that despite many trials and tribulations, it surprisingly survived. Jeremy then decided to paint it green, for some reason, before entering it into a concours event, concluding one of the few Top Gear challenges he actually won.
I've actually won something!
That was in 2008. 17 years on, the car is now mine. It's been off the road for almost 8 years, and let's just say it's not in the best shape. It retains most of the original Top Gear battle scars, including the original tyres, plus a few other added cosmetic issues thrown in for good measure. In today's video, we're going to go through the car top to bottom and find out just how bad the condition really is and what it needs to get it back on the road. Please don't ask me why I bought it, because I've no idea. In addition, because I didn't read the advert properly, I didn't realise it came with a load of spare panels that I don't have the space for. We have a bonnet, a door, another door, another door, a wing, another wing, and a rear bumper. Oh, and a front bumper. All of which I promptly put on eBay, starting at 99p with no reserve. Now, it transpires the reason there are so many spare body panels with the car is because the previous owner planned to return it to original condition, which is not what I planned to do. I planned to get the car to a state where it's mechanically sound whilst also retaining the original Top Gear patina. And I appreciate that's a stretched use of the meaning of the word patina. Anyway, let's start by getting the engine running. Before I try to start it, I first need to check it has oil. Thankfully it does. It looks clean and it's at maximum on the dipstick. I then check the coolant level, which is also looking good, meaning I can now climb inside and turn the engine over for the first time. Okay, let's see if she'll start. Right. Absolutely nothing, completely dead. Jumper pack. I connect the positive terminal first, as the positive terminal carries the live current. By connecting it first, this prevents the risk of any sparks or damaging any electrical components on the car. When removing it, disconnect the negative terminal first and then the positive. Right, let's see if she'll start. She's in neutral, lights on, and she's running. Now straight away I can tell the exhaust is blowing, but it's actually idling fine at bang on 1,000 revs, just above, which is good when it's cold. I've got an array of lights here telling me everything is wrong with the car. It's telling me the oil light's on, or the oil light is on the warnings but not over on the main dashboard. I know it's got oil in it because we've just checked it. Apparently both doors are open. They're not. Handbrake. Yeah, it's no handbrake at all. Brilliant. Gonna have to investigate that. But she lives, and she's got absolutely no fuel in her, so I'll put a gallon in her to make sure she's got enough. And as this 3-litre V6 is a high compression engine, I'm putting in super unleaded rather than premium. So the car's been idling now for around 5 minutes. It's sitting nicely at 800 RPM. Water temperature is climbing nicely. It's just over 60 degrees Celsius right now, which is really good. And we've also got good oil pressure. So far, so good. One interesting thing I have noticed is the car has electric mirrors. Well, it has an electric mirror on the left-hand side, which can only be adjusted up and down, not left to right. And the mirror on the right-hand side is manual, but doesn't work. Nice. The interior is actually in really good condition. It's kind of what you'd expect for an old car that's done 50,000 miles. Headliner, however, is sagging quite badly,
and I can see the sunroof, which I've just realised it's got, is also broken, and the material is hanging down. So if any of you know a good contact for replacing headlinings, please let me know in the comments. Now that I know the engine runs and it's all up to temperature, I'm just going to drive it forwards and backwards in the car park to make sure there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the drivetrain. So, very heavy clutch down, into first, and off we go. And straight away, she's great. And the brakes work, into reverse, basically no mirrors. Oh, that exhaust is definitely blowing. But yeah, she's going backwards. Nice. Onwards. Now we know the car runs, it's time to find out what it needs in order to get back on the road, which means finding out what it needs for an MOT test. MOT stands for Ministry of Transport test, and cars require them every 12 months here in the UK to confirm that they are roadworthy. So what I've done is I've downloaded a list of all the areas of the car that will be checked in the test. We're now going to go through and check these on the Alfa Romeo and find out what it needs. I'm a bit apprehensive as the car's been off the road for 7 years, but there's only one way to find out what it needs, and that's by getting started.
The first thing on the list is the seat belts. I need to check they all operate as they should, and if any of you think this is a bit overkill and that these won't be checked, this car did fail an MOT in the past due to a seat belt, so it's worth us checking. Once the fronts are checked, I jump to the rears. And as with most saloons, this car has 5 seats, so I check the centre one too. Thankfully, no issues, so I mark it as a pass and move on to the next thing to check, the warning lamps. First the side lights and then the headlights, and both are good on both sides of the car. Then I check the tail lights and mark that as a pass too. Then onto the hazard lights, or indicators, and we have our first issue. The right hand rear one is not working. Hopefully an easy fix. We then continue round the front, also checking the ones on the wings, and thankfully the rest were all okay. So we went back to our list and marked it as a fail, then continued onto our next check, the windscreen. I started by removing the auction sticker, which revealed a nice crack in the glass. Not ideal, the screen will have to be replaced. On a positive note, the washer jets both worked perfectly, as did the windscreen wipers. Result. Then I checked the steering, which also felt good, so I updated the list, then moved on to the next check.
Well, that works. Now I need to check that all the doors and locks work, but as you saw earlier in the video, they don't. Fine. Fine. Ooh, that lock is not working. Won't go down. Not good. So just that one then. Shame. Now to check the boot lid, and as far as I can tell, you cannot open it from the rear of the car. You have to pull a little catch under the driver's seat. And there it is, the boot lid's open. And what have we here? Looks to be an original headlight, and it's still got the green paint on it. Now you might remember in the episode, it actually took quite a hit on the front corner of the car. So yeah, pretty cool to have this old piece lying around. And there's also a couple of indicators as well. So yeah, I could do something really cool with those, make them into little lamps or something. Who knows? If you have an idea, drop it in the comments. Anyway, let's continue. Now I thought this was broken. However, I was wrong. You see, the bonnet catch is buried down here, and if you weren't able to tilt this forward, like so, you wouldn't be able to get your fingers down to release the bonnet latch. So this is actually a feature, not a flaw. Very Alfa Romeo. Now the next bit I'm a bit unsure about, the mirrors. All three mirrors are intact in terms of the mirror itself. However, they can't be adjusted using either the toggle or the electric switch as they're not working. So I will investigate those to see if I can get them working, but other than that, I'm just going to have to send the car along and see how the MOT tester judges it. He may pass it on the basis that the mirrors are there and can be adjusted by hand if needed.
The next item on the list is the speedometer, which isn't checked in an MOT, but I did spot something interesting. The needle for both the speedometer and rev counter for some reason doesn't start at 0. You wouldn't get that on a BMW. Onto the number plates, and I'm sure that one will need to be changed. The rear one is good though, and both number plate lights work, so I marked them as a pass and moved on to the next check, the brake lights, which worked, as did the fog lights, but for some reason the reverse lights didn't, so I made a note.
Slightly contentious topic now, tyres. You see, these are the original tyres from when it was on Top Gear, as you can see from the paint. However, they're 21 years old. You can see from the tyre here, they were made in 2004. And from a purely safety perspective, I don't want to be running around on 21-year-old tyres. I plan to drive this car, take it to Cars and Coffee, do road trips in it. And therefore, even if an MOT tester would pass the tyres for whatever reason, from a purely safety perspective, I don't want to be driving on them. So I will be swapping them.
I then marked this on the sheet. Then checked the wiper blades, which were both in really good condition considering the car has been off the road for so long. That one gets a pass.
Tow bar not applicable. And the next one's quite interesting, the general condition of the body, which I think you'll agree is immaculate front to rear, so I'm going to mark that as a pass too. Now it gets really tricky, or risky I should say, because everything we're going to check now is basically on the underside of the car, the steering, the brakes, the suspension, and we're also going to be checking the body for corrosion on the underside as well. So the risk is, if we find anything now that the car needs, it's likely to be expensive, could be very expensive, and could also take me quite a while to fix it if I'm doing it myself. So keep your fingers crossed for me, and let's get started.
But before I did that, I just had to refit this piece of trim, as it was really annoying me. Right, back to the front wheels. I started by jacking up the front of the car, then I had a quick look underneath, and other than being a bit grimy, things really didn't look too bad at all.
So the wheel's spinning nice and free, and I'm now just going to check for wheel bearing play by rocking the wheel top to bottom. And I can't feel anything, so that's good. I'm now going to check side to side. And that feels solid as well, so hopefully no wheel bearing issues and no steering issues on the right-hand side. I've had a quick look at the shock absorber, that's also looking okay, but at the MOT test centre they'll be able to have a better look. All okay for now, on to the next corner. Same again this side. No play. No play. All good. I'll have a quick look underneath, have a quick look at the shock absorber, and then onto the rears.
And as on the other side, all was looking well.
Now I know I could be much more thorough with these checks at the front end. I could get it right up in the air, put it on axle stands, etc. But honestly, I just want to give it a very quick check for anything obvious. And the actual condition at the front end looks really good. The rubbers don't look that old. Looks like it's been really cared for. So I'm just giving it a quick check for now. I'll get onto the rears, and then hopefully we'll get this to an MOT centre very soon.
Next up, the left-hand rear wheel bearing, and thankfully no play there either. I did, however, discover something else here that will definitely need some attention.
Okay, now I have spotted a bit of an issue, not with the wheel or anything I was actually checking, with the bodywork. This wheel arch is hanging off, as is the rear bumper. Now it looks like there's been a repair on this wing and it's been done, I don't want to say badly, it just looks like it's not finished. So I think what I'm going to do is come up with a bodge, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to bodge it to get it through an MOT, and then I'm going to sort it afterwards. Now I can feel a little bit of play in this rear wheel bearing here. I think it's within an allowable tolerance. I guess we'll find out when it goes in for an MOT. Which brings us to the end of the checks of the four wheels. So Overall, I'm pretty happy here. However, we now need to get the back end of the car fully up in the air to find out why the handbrake isn't working.
And the easiest way to do that was to roll it back onto a pair of ramps, leaving plenty of room for me to crawl underneath.
The car is now up on ramps. However, it is getting dark and I'm getting hungry, so I'm going to go in, have some dinner, call it a night, and carry on in the morning. Hello. Hello. Alpha cat.
Back to work now, and I'm under the rear end of the car. That's the gearbox, as the car has a transaxle setup with inboard brakes. Very rare. Not sure what those loose wires are for, I'll find that out later, but the main parts of the drivetrain are looking really good, as the car had a gearbox rebuild done recently, in June. I did spot a few holes in the rear silencer, so that'll need replacing, but not the end of the world.
Shame about the silencer, but thankfully I found a replacement online, so that's ordered. I've also replaced the battery, as the one on the car was not holding charge as it was 7 years old, and it was also the wrong spec battery for the car anyway. Now, that's all of the checks complete, which means we have a short list of items we know we need to fix ahead of sending the car in for an MOT.
And here's our to-do list. In summary, the right rear indicator, the cracked windscreen, the reverse lights, the tyres, the rear wheel arch, the blowing exhaust, and finally the handbrake. The one I'm most concerned about is the handbrake, as when I was underneath the car there is nothing connected to the rear calipers where the handbrake is meant to be connected. So if this car needs any parts, I might have to hunt around and find them, because there's nothing on this car that's easy to come by. Anyway, I'm not going to crawl underneath the car now and inspect it further. I've got a plan for that tomorrow. What I'm going to do instead is move on to what is hopefully one of the easier issues to solve, the indicator, and I'm hoping it just needs a bulb, but let's find out. I started by opening the boot to access the light bulbs, and I could see straight away one bulb was broken, but that wasn't the indicator. To check if the indicator just needed a new bulb, I swapped it with the one from the left hand side that I knew was working. I fitted it into the right hand socket, and voila! A nice easy fix.
One strange thing I've just noticed, that door wouldn't lock when I tried to do it manually from the door. However, when I've just locked the doors from the central lock-in from the driver's door, that door locks. How Alfa Romeo is that?
I then took the car on its first outing to Halfords for 4 new tyres, and whilst it was there they also did a load of checks on it for free.
I don't want to disturb the guys too much while they're working on the car, but one of them just came out to me and said there's some wires hanging down. And when I asked him where, he said everywhere.
That's it, the tyres are done, and I'm keen to know whether you would have done the same. Fit new ones or keep the originals? Let me know in the comments.
The Alfa is back, sitting on 4 shiny new Avon tyres. I went for these as they're a mid-range tyre, and I got them for £305 fully fitted at Halfords, which I think is an absolute bargain in these days of high motoring costs. And not only did they fit the 4 tyres for that price, but they did a load of free checks on the car as well. And I've got the results here. So let's get straight into them. In no particular order, starting with the right-hand rear wheel bearing, which as we found had a little bit of play in it. They said it was borderline whether it would pass or fail an MOT, but they also said it just needed adjusting. So I'm going to get them to do that because I don't want to do it myself and over-tighten it and then cause a wheel bearing failure while I'm driving it on the road. So the car's going back there tomorrow to get that adjusted. After that, they said the rear suspension springs need replacing at some point, not critical for today, but they've started to corrode. They then found on the front suspension, the rubber bushes that mount the suspension struts have started to perish, again not critical for today, something for a later date. The same with the front drop links. Then, moving on to the prop shaft. There are 3 mounts for the prop shaft, and they said the central one is starting to fail. They advised that I change it sooner rather than later, so I've ordered one, and hopefully it's arriving tomorrow. Then, moving on to the rear of the car on the underside. They said the handbrake cable is completely missing, so I've ordered one of those, and it should be here tomorrow. The same for the reverse light switch, which looks like it was broken when the gearbox was removed and replaced. Then, 2 more points.
They saw the crack in the windscreen, that's being fixed the day after tomorrow, and they said the front number plate would fail the MOT because you can't see the whole of the letter F. So I'll get that replaced too. Long story short, we're waiting for a load of parts to arrive that should be here tomorrow, maybe the day after. So, whilst we're waiting on those, here's a bit of history as to how I ended up buying the car. One of the top questions I'm always asked about the Top Gear Kia Ceed that I own is how did I get my hands on it? So with this Alfa, I'm going to tell you all up front. On Sunday the 24th of August, it went up for auction at the iconic auctioneer's Silverstone Festival, with an estimate of £12,000 to £15,000. Now, it didn't meet its reserve, so the car was still up for grabs. I called the auctioneers the day after and managed to negotiate a deal with the seller. There you are. That's how I got my hands on it. Now, since buying it, there is one interesting thing I found out about this car. Let's take a look online. I decided to pay a visit to the website How Many Left to find out how many Alfa Romeo 75 3-litre V6 Veloces are still on UK roads, and I was quite surprised at the result. In 1994, there were 135 on the road in total, and if you trace that through to today, in 2025, there is just one example left on UK roads, with 25 off the road, of which mine is one of them. That makes this an exceptionally rare car, all the more reason to get it back on the road. I then gave the previous owner a call to learn more about the history of the car. Hi there.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Yourself?
Good. Yeah, not bad.
Good. Yeah, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
That's fine.
I'm currently just digging through all of the folders and documents that came with the car. I guess just any information that would be useful for me to know that you have would be great.
Sure.
When it last ran, what issues you've had with it. I see there was some work done on it recently.
It's going to need all tyres replacing.
Yep.
Probably the flexible brake hoses I probably won't do it again.
Yeah.
The cam belt we did 10 years ago, but the car's done like 30 miles. So when the car was with him before we ran it, I asked him to take the cover off, check the timing belt, and if need be, change it.
Yeah.
He checked it all out and it's absolutely fine. There's no wear on it. If you're going to put it on the road, do it then. But for now, to get it running and get it MOT, you can be fine.
I want to get it back on the road as soon as I can. Just everything that you know that it needs.
I think there's an exhaust rubber mount that needs changing.
Okay.
It's slightly blowing because they didn't fit it together very well. The exhaust isn't blowing. It's just not sealed under the driver's seat. There's a join there.
Got it.
Because it makes a farting noise. But
yeah.
I think the exhaust system's all okay. Did they change the oil? I think they changed the oil. That's easy to check, isn't it?
Got it. And then you mentioned the handbrake needs something. Do you know what is it needs?
I'm not sure what it is, but it's where the handbrake, the actual handbrake inside the car. You pull it up and it pulls the handbrake handle. You pull it up, it pulls a cable. Yeah. And the other end of the cable is attached to a bracket that then splits to go to the brake discs.
Got it.
That connecting bit has got lost.
Got it.
And it wasn't on the second-hand box that I bought either. So you need to have a peek underneath, see if you can identify the bit that's missing, and then speak to a couple of the others. There's loads of Alfa specialists, as I'm sure you're aware. They'll sell you a bit. But you shouldn't find any corrosion anywhere.
Good news. That was my biggest worry. I think the mechanical stuff, I don't mind tackling. I'm familiar with that. Welding, corrosion, terrifies me. Obviously, you don't know where it's going to end when you start finding it. But okay. So, other than the handbrake that needs a part, it shouldn't take a lot to get back on the road then.
No, it shouldn't. No. I would predict maybe, I don't know, 1,500 quid, something like that. Tyres are potentially expensive, but it'll just be, little rubber hoses here and there, and an air filter paint maybe.
Great.
Okay.
Well, thanks very much for your time.
No problem. If you need any more help, just give us a shout.
Thanks a lot. Speak soon. Right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Fantastic. So, all being well, it doesn't need that much to get back on the road. Let's see. Back to work now, and the next task was to replace the broken front number plate, and so I went to Halfords to get a new one made up. It was quite sad to remove this plate, as it's the original one from when the car was new in 1989. But to get this old car on the road and keep it running, I will have to make some sacrifices along the way, and this is one of them. I then fitted the new one, and I think you'll agree that now looks much better. One of the things that's missing on the car is the chrome bezel around the Alfa Romeo badge, and luckily the car came with a replacement grille. Now I'm not going to put this whole grille on the car, as this grille has the Top Gear paint on it and I want to retain that. So instead I'm going to take the chrome bezel off this one and fit it to the car. The car, however, had other ideas, as no matter how hard I tried, I could not get the chrome trim to fit into the grille, as it was a completely different shape around the bottom. So I accepted my fate and gave up. I then took the car for a detailed inspection of the exhaust, where I happened to come across another Italian car that was almost the same colour. Anyway, back to business, and this is what they found.
Okay, so what's the verdict?
Need a new rear box,
Need a new rear box, yeah.
holes in that,
2 holes in the silencer.
and these 2 front flexis are gone.
And the 2 flexis are gone.
Yeah. The rest of it's salvageable.
Are these, obviously that's MOT failure at the back.
Yep.
Is this an MOT failure?
Because this one's blowing from the top here
Yep.
and the back here.
Got
this,
it.
This one's not far behind.
Gotcha. And is that just a small section here, or is that the whole?
Yeah, so I mean, you're probably, this hole is one complete section that bumps to the manifold.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get that. So we just cut that from here.
Yeah.
And we just weld you in a new flexi that will join there. And
Yeah.
the same that side.
Yeah.
The same with the rear box. We can cut that pipe off from there.
Yeah.
We put you in a new box.
Yeah.
Fit a pipe, and then you can either pick a new tip or we can leave it as it's meant
Gotcha.
to.
All right. And are these parts readily available now?
No.
Or none of them?
No, I have to manufacture it. We have to make it.
You have to make it. Okay.
Yeah, because of what it is, you're not going to get parts off the shelf for it.
Gotcha. All right then. But I think that at least answers why it's blowing, because I could hear it was blowing from the front.
Yeah, it's this here that you can hear. It blows right at the top there.
Yeah, I
and
can
right at the
feel
back
it.
there.
There's a hole in it. Yeah. And the holes at the back I was aware of because I popped my head underneath. All right. Then I think I need to have a look and decide what to do next. Thanks very much.
Excellent, more parts to order. And whilst I did that, the boys at Halford's attempted to adjust the wheel bearing. And of course, things didn't work out as planned.
So I'm now back from Halford's, having had the wheel bearing seen to. Unfortunately, they said the wheel bearing needs replacing, as even after they've adjusted it, there's still a little bit of play in the joint. They did, however, also say that it would be an advisory on the MOT, not a fail. So another job that can wait for another day. Still a bit disappointing, but at least when I got home, I discovered that the left-hand electric mirror has started to work again. Fantastic. What's next?
Well, we then had our first delivery.
The first part has arrived. Can you tell what it is? I'll give you a clue. It has to remain this way up. The reverse light switch. Now let's get the car up in the air and get it fitted.
First things first, I had to get the car back up on the ramps, and thankfully this was a really easy part to change. Quite simply, I unbolted the old one, put the new one in, nipped it up, and then reconnected the wires. And then it was time to check the reverse lights, and of course one of them didn't work, so I jumped in the boot to check the bulbs. I swapped it with a new one, and there we have it, 2 working reverse lights. It was then time to go to auto windscreens to get the windscreen replaced due to the big crack, and unfortunately I wasn't allowed in to film due to health and safety. But the windscreen for this car was available within a few days, the job was done within an hour, and it now looks much better. Then it was straight back home to carry on with the work.
Time for the next repair now, and I'll be honest, it's not going to be the one I'll be most proud of. For the wheel arch. You see, the car has had a really bad repair on the body, and it actually needs some material trimming away in order to get the wheel arch sitting correctly, and also to get the bumper sitting a little bit higher. Now, the MOT is in just a few days, and I just want to get this car on the road for now and do a proper repair on this at a later date. So what I'm going to do is Velcro the wheel arch to the car.
Now, I can read the comments already. Velcro in the car together, cowboy, whatever. The truth is, this is a temporary fix that will retain the wheel arch well, but will also be easier to remove than adhesive or double-sided tape at a date in the not so distant future. Now quit your moaning and we'll get on to the next one. Now I did say to myself, no cosmetic fixes until the MOT issues are sorted. However, there is one that's really annoying me, so we're going to attempt to fix that now. And that's the door handle, which as you can see is broken. So what I've done is salvage this one off one of the doors I'm struggling to sell on eBay. So let's now try and get it switched. And I'm going to start by taking this off with a screwdriver. I don't have a trim tool, apologies. Now I'm going to unscrew these two fixings. Just talk amongst yourselves now. Nothing really interesting to say about this bit, to be honest. Just need to refit the trim now. Done. Except it isn't really done because the door is still really hard to close. And 9 times out of 10, when you close it like that, you go to drive off and the dashboard light comes on to tell you that the door is actually not fully latched. So you have to open it again and slam it twice as hard. Now, the reason for that is because most cars have an extra handle here for you to pull the door closed. However, for some reason, this car only has a handle forward here, which means you can't close it that easily. So what I actually end up doing most of the time is using the electric window switch, which for some reason is on the roof, to drop the window, then grab the door properly up here, slam it, and then put the window back up again, which is quite annoying, but let's be honest, that's very Alfa Romeo. And I can imagine the meeting that took place at Alfa when they were designing this car. The designer designed the door card, and it looks beautiful. And then one of the engineers came along and said, but you need a handle here so you can close the door. And he went, but it's okay, yeah. And then they just proceeded anyway, because that's how Italians work. Anyway, can't fix that today. On to the next job. Rant over, I then took the car back out to get more work done.
So we're now back at Halford's, where I brought the car in for a few jobs. Firstly, the prop shaft bearing, as the prop shaft was bouncing around all over the place under the car. Whilst they were working on that, they replaced 2 exhaust downpipes as they were both blowing, and the rear silencer, as we saw that had 2 holes in as well. Whilst they were under there, I asked them to fit the handbrake cable, as although that's a job I could have done myself, it's much easier for them on a ramp, and they're working on that area of the car anyway. Then I asked them to put it in for an MOT, and I can hardly believe I'm saying this, but after 10 days of working on this car, it has an MOT and it's road legal. So let's take it for a drive. Okay, I can hardly believe I'm doing this. I've not heard the engine run without having 4 holes in the exhaust. So let's see how that sounds. Quiet. Oh, raspy V6 engine. And the handbrake works. Fantastic. Right. Let's hit the road. Oh, it's still got that noise from the back end that it had when Jeremy was driving it. Oh gosh, she's nippy. Ooh, very heavy clutch pedal. Very heavy clutch. Stop at traffic light. Oh, it feels cool though. It just feels cool. Yeah, ooh, yeah, heavy clutch. And when you bring it up, your knee does hit the steering wheel, which might get annoying. Oh, but she's smooth. Oh, I'm so excited. Honestly, I cannot believe that I'm driving this car on the road legally. And it did get a few advisories, but it was nothing we didn't know about. 2 springs on the rear corroded, not urgently needing to be replaced. Got a few rubbers on the suspension as well. Can easily sort those at a later date. Whoa. Now the engine's still cold. Clutch feels good. the steering wheel though every time you let the pedal out. And it was very vibraty when I first drove it to the MOT centre because the prop shaft bearing needed replacing. Now though, very smooth. Oh, lovely. And that's it. After 8 years of being off the road, this Alfa now has an MOT, and I can hardly believe I'm saying that, to be honest. This also means there are now 2 Alfa Romeo 75 3-litre V6 Veloces on UK roads, and I think that's pretty cool. I bought the car completely unseen. As you heard earlier, I didn't even read the full advert. I didn't know those spare panels were coming with the car, for example. And yet in just 10 days, we've been able to get the car back on the road. And to do that, I did get a little bit of help, and I want to thank those guys right now. Halford's Auto Centre in Sandhurst. As you saw, they did all the work on the car that I was unable to do myself here, and they did it all really fast, were really accommodating, great quality, really great bunch of guys. And to be honest, amongst all the horror stories out there of garages and people getting ripped off, etc. these days, it was a breath of fresh air going there and talking to the guys, so thanks a bunch. Then EB Spares, who supplied all of the parts I needed for this car. Now, not only did they supply parts, but they were able to advise me exactly how to fit the parts to the car, what was unique about the Alfa 75, and as you've seen, there's a lot of things unique about this car. So not just a parts supplier, but also really great guys who know these cars inside and out. So as well, thank you to them. On to the costs, of which there are many, so I brought my laptop along. We'll start with the car itself. I paid £12,250 for the car. I then paid £260 to have it delivered. The tyres, along with all the checks, came to a total of £305.97. And as I said earlier, I think that's a bargain for 4 tyres. To replace the windscreen, that was £100. I did that via my insurance. The front number plate, £16.20. The exhaust parts, which was a silencer, 2 downpipes and some fittings, came to a total of £453.96. The replacement prop shaft bearing, that was £74.40. The handbrake cable, along with a part that had to be fabricated, as you can't get it anymore, £36.60, bargain. Next was the reverse light switch, £11.69. 2 bulbs, £5.84. The battery, £68.89. Then the car went to Halford's, where it got a brake fluid change for £49.99. The labour to fit the handbrake cable, to swap the exhaust parts, to swap the prop shaft bearing, and to adjust the rear wheel bearing came to a total of £332.79. Not too bad. Then there was the MOT test itself, £49.99, bringing the grand total cost for this car to £14,016.32 so far. Now, I don't think that's too bad for a car of which there are only 2 on the road in the UK. You can tell me otherwise in the comments below. And it's an ex-Top Gear car as well, so that's got to add some value. Then there were 2 separate costs. Well, I've kind of just kept them separate. You'll see why. Insurance, because it fluctuates for everybody. I paid £222.16 to insure the car for a year. I got that done by Adrian Flux. I have a few cars insured with them already, and that helped keep the costs down. Then the road tax. Kept that separate because when you have several cars, you can take those cars off the road that you're not driving, you get the tax back, etc. So road tax for the year, though, for this car is quite expensive. £360 a year. For a classic car, that's a lot of money. I look forward to the day in a few years' time when this car becomes tax and MOT exempt. That's hopefully going to bring the cost down quite a bit. And that really is it from a cost perspective. And that really brings me to the end of the video as well. And if you've got this far through it, I hope that means you enjoyed it. And if you did, I would really appreciate if in return you could give the video a thumbs up, because it really helps me get this little channel off the ground. If you've got any feedback or any ideas as to what you'd like to see me do next with this car, drop a comment below. And if you want to see more videos in general, also consider subscribing. That really is it. That's the end of the video now, and that's the journey so far with this Alfa Romeo. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. So I've just got in the car, and there's this random panel on the floor. Definitely wasn't there when I got out. And I can't see where it's come from. Oh, it's fallen down from here. How can I refit that? How's that fallen out? Those clips are solid.